WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, often reviewing rare and exotic whiskeys. Glenfarclas Highland single malt Scotch whiskey, dead center in the space side. They call themselves a Highland whiskey. Distilled 2012, the Trinity Vintage series. We'll talk about that in a second. We have here the sherry casks. So sherry cask matured, limited edition, natural color, non-chilled filtered, 46% ABV. I do have a whiskey-based number for us. That is going to be 261029. Now, there is a statement here from the distillery in English. Everything else is in German because this is a Germany exclusive. Whiskey Expats, one of the biggest whiskey information portals, wrote, "Oh, finally we have the red tin back," whatever that means. Maybe before my time. So the distillery manager said here, sherry casks. That's the first part of the Trinity series. Direct fire stills. That's going to be the second expression in the Trinity series. And then dunnage warehouses. Damp and low lying. Without the fortuitous alliance of this Trinity, the whiskey would differ in some regard. It might be fine, but it would not be Glenfarclas. And so we in Germany get a nice little special bottling series, again from Glenfarclas. This is 100% sherry cask matured. Just like almost every other Glenfarclas product you can even buy. So this is the 12-year-old 1-liter travel retail, 100% Oloroso sherry cask matured. So this has 43%. It does say natural color on the label, but it does not say non-chilled filtered. Interesting thing. The 0.7 and the 1.0 liter bottles at the moment in Germany both cost $49.90. This has a recommended retail price of $59.90, and it goes for around $55 at the moment. So, 12 years of age, 12 years of age. I can get a 1-liter bottle for cheaper than I can the 0.7 liter. Now, yes, this has an additional 3% alcohol. And yes, this is non-chilled filtered, whereas that is not. But the question is always taste. Which one tastes better? So I have no idea what the direct fire stills expression will be. Is that the Maillard effect that actually, due to the heat, if you've ever been to Glenfarclas, I was there, they use natural gas to direct fire their wash stills. And that is, you hear the fire that underneath the pot stills, heating them up and causing the wort in there, that mash, to actually boil off the alcohol, and you're left back with that draft that you can give to the animals and so on. There is a rumminger. That is a copper chain that is actually dragged around the bottom of the pot still so nothing can burn onto the inside of that pot still. Beautiful, beautiful concept. The rumminger is actually of a softer copper material than the stills are, so that the stills don't get wore down. That does. Now, the spirit stills aren't as directly fired as the wash stills. So I have to look into that, actually. When I was there, were they all direct fired, or were just the wash stills direct fired? Wow. Too lazy to look at the moment. So, and what the dunnage warehouse is going to be, I'm not really sure what the focus could be there either. If you know, write it down. What would you... sherry cask, 100% Oloroso sherry. Normal Glenfarclas. The direct fire still, what is going to be the uniqueness of that expression for Germany? And the dunnage warehouses, that was damp and low-lying dunnage warehouses, what's that going to be? Now, I get a very nice nose. I don't get any type of sulfur, which is very, very good. I hardly get any sulfur, which is very, very good. Every whiskey in here is at least 12 years of age. And every single whiskey in here was distilled in the year 2012. So they limited themselves. This was the vintage. It was 2012, though. All of the product here. This, let's say, this has now been in the bottle for 4 years. So let's go back here to 2020. So that'd be 2008. But it could have been products from 2007 or 2006 in here. The age statement means the youngest whiskey. It can have older stuff. You can overage things. Here, a vintage has to be exactly that 1 year of distilling. That means starting with January 1st, 2012, you can take anything up to the 31st. But imagine you distilled something on the 31st of December 2011, disqualified by 1 day because it's not in that year. Are they so particular, so anal about it? Yes, they are. So that's something that they really need to pay attention with. Both of these have that old school sherry moment, not that sherry syrup that we often get from seasoned casks. Now, all of the casks are from the famous Bodega Jose and Miguel Martin in Jerez de la Frontera. It actually says here that Mr. Grant goes there every year to hand pick those casks, which I think is fantastic. How many bottles of whiskey are in this limited edition expression for Germany only? No one tells us. Now, neither does the importer, no information on the bottle, no information on any press releases. We don't know. All right, let's try this slanche. There's a little bit of it's hot. It's got some heat. It's got some youth. It's got some, wow. It's not the greatest whiskey in the world. There's a tiny little bit of sulfur in the back. There's a little bit of sourness. In my German video, the first time I tried it was like, ah. And then I tried a second sip and it was like, oh, is this almost like a C+? And then I did a third sip and it's like, oh, the heat's back. It's a C. It's hot. Interesting enough, when I drank the 43% over here, first of all, it's very watery in comparison. And second of all, there's no heat whatsoever. And it's not, I didn't do that in my German video. Let's take the whiskey, let's dilute it down to 43% and see what happens. Is that really, really the problem we have here, those 3% alcohol? Or did they actually use distillate that was a little bit quicker distilled than before? Where there's no mention whatsoever of there being first fill sherry casks here. It just says sherry cask edition. So there could be fourth fill cask in here that did nothing to actually mellow out the alcohol of that in 12 years, and then just put a couple first fill in there together and you get the color, bang, you're happy. So let's try it. Still get some heat, not as much. I think that would actually have been better. And more of a 42, 43. I said it could be a 43% here. That is much better than the 46%. I wish, and this is my personal opinion again, I wish more distilleries would have the guts, the balls, the audacity to actually bring out non-chill filtered, natural color 43% whiskeys. Now, will there be some cloudiness sometimes? Will it have something with it's called the flocation. German is Ausflockung. Where the fatty acids actually turn into a little bit of a cloudiness moment. And as soon as you heat it back up, it goes back to normal, all right? I wish they would do that. I wish they would do 43% non-chilled filtered and natural color. Non-chilled filtered. Just to give us the perfect alcohol point, so that I don't have to adjust this whiskey and figure out what it is. But hey, we're all so fixated on 46%. If it's Ralphie or to anyone else, that's so that we can say, hey, even when we put an ice cube in it, it doesn't turn cloudy. So the 43% 12-year-old that only says natural color but no non-chill filter on it. It's a tad thinner. Got more of an orange peel moment going on there. Got the sherry, got a little bit of the wood spices, but I don't get the heat. I don't get the alcohol. That's what I get here. So I'm going to give this a solid C. Value for money with 55 to 59 euros. C, actually it's more of a C minus. Go buy this for 50 euros for the 1 liter. You're going to have much more of an enjoyment with this. This is a good whiskey. I really, really can recommend the Glenfarclas 12 batch that I have. Now, will you get a same batch? No. Will your batch maybe have sulfur? Possibly. And that's something that is harming the love of us geeks for Glenfarclas. The continuity that is missing in the batches. Now, Glenfarclas is growing. Glenfarclas is selling more whiskey now than it's ever had in its entire, at least last year. So 2023, let's take a look at the figures for 2024 one day. Selling more whiskey than they have ever before. Travel retail, in normal retail. This is a whiskey that is being discovered by the new generation of whiskey drinkers out there in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And they're doing a great job of bringing people into the whiskey community. Thank you. And yet, sometimes it's like, ooh, this is a little bit sulfur. And the next one, like, oh, this is fantastic. And you have to just live with it. You really do. You have to be willing to be disappointed every once in a while. They call themselves the Spirit of Independence. Why? This is actually here. The only metal part is up here on the lid. I'm sure they could do this differently as well to be environmentally more friendly. Here, that's actually, is it wood or is not? Is it paper? It's paper. It's cardboard. All right, very, very good. 100% recyclable. Very, very nice. Okay, we have the batch variations. We have here the Spirit of Independence. Now I got my train of thought back, one of the very, very few distilleries that are still family owned. So, Mr. Grant has 2 daughters. They must be in the teenage years now. When I met him 7 years ago, they were just turning 10. Let's see what happens with the distillery. Will the daughters want to take it over in 10 years or 20 years or whatever? That is the question of the day. If you can ever get into a tasting with George Grant and have him tell his stories, he's lived a life. I mean, really, it's kind of cool what he's done there with the distillery and how they do that. If you can visit the distillery, please do. Go into the tasting room that used to be like the inside of a ship. If you stay there and they might pull out something from down under the counter from a family cask, 20, 30 years old. They have an amazing, amazing selection of whiskeys there, and it is really, really good. And if they could just get that, at least with this variation, this bottling, get that heat toned down for the direct fire stills and the dunnage warehouses. So here you can see a little bit of the difference there is here for the. It did a good job of doing that here. The dunnage warehouses, the direct fire stills, the sherry casks. All right, so my question of the day is, what difference between the sherry cask Trinity release will there be to the direct fire stills and to the dunnage warehouses, and which Glenfarclas product do you like? Yes, the 15 with 46% is usually the best. Yes, they used to be for great prizes, the 21 and the 25-year-old editions, but we have to make do or enjoy the 12-year-old editions that we now have and live with it. WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany. All the best. See you real soon. Thanks for liking, sharing, and telling others about my channel. Bye-bye.